I said 2 years ago that judiciary will be emasculated within 2 years. It has come to pass. Should he choose to be in the Gachagua's team, Kalonzo's team, Eugene's team, Martha Karua's team, William Ruto's goose will have been cooked 9 o'clock before midday. I'm in Azimio, but we are on our way out.
Really?
We cannot be in Azimio. Azimio is dead as a dodo. And I have no pretense hanging around an old house. It can collapse on you.
And what a time to be alive. You are just in time for Richard Mwenje exclusive at a particular historic time in our country where we have just got a new deputy president in town. I'm talking about His Excellency Professor Kithure Kindiki, that among many other issues that we're going to discuss today on the program that is Richard Mwenje exclusive. But first things first, it is a distinct privilege to have you on board with us. Let us unpack the conversations that are shaping Kenya's political and governance landscape. And who better to help me bring such conversations home than your favorite think tank, former Minister Ruto Arab Kirwa, although today is a little under the weather. But how are you doing today, sir?
Yeah, thank you so much.
You are well?
Very well.
Slightly under the weather, I can feel it from your voice.
Yeah, because of change of weather. You've realized in November, there's going to be plenty of rain, especially from Narok all the way to Trans Nzoia up to Lodwar.
All right.
Yeah, so Ryan and I will have plenty of rain.
I see.
Yeah.
You are on the show today at a time when we have a new deputy president in town, Professor Kithure Kindiki. But let's begin with the ousted DP Rigathi Gachagua. Questions linger as to whether the government of the day is likely to get an onslaught on his back thereafter, once he has exited office. From your answer, do you think Rigathi will survive the onslaught from government henceforth?
Well, there's still a lot of battles he needs to fight. And some of them, he may take the last laugh. For me, Rigathi Gachagua is more dangerous now than he was as deputy president.
Really?
Yes, for a number of reasons which I will give in the course of our discussion. Principal among them, that if he is impeached and he does not get a chance to mitigate the situation in a court of law, then he will be a very lethal kingmaker if he's not going to be running in the next election. If I was President Ruto's advisor, which I am not, I would have suggested to him, now that you've taken the position of the deputy president away from him, why don't you go slow on some of the grounds that were raised by the Senate and National Assembly, so that you allow him a chance of running. That may create confusion in the opposition, because he will be in contention and other players from the opposition will also be in contention. But should he be totally impeached and he has no recourse in a court of law, then he will be a very dangerous player in the field. I would say he will be like a lone buffalo. A lone buffalo is dangerous compared to buffaloes in a big herd, because he has nothing to lose. You've taken away even his human right as a citizen, because impeachment actually means you're almost deprived of everything except food, because you cannot hold office even in a local church function. So these are some of the dangers that I think those who are supporting the current president don't seem to realize. They are putting him in a lot of danger. I've said before, and I will reiterate again, Gachagua's impeachment is going to be very costly to William Ruto in the year 2027, because the constituency that he has affected is not only the constituency that is closer to the hearts of Gachagua and his friends. He has also affected the rest of the country. Many Kenyans may not have liked Gachagua, but the way he has been pushed out of office with certain high speed, almost and creating a crisis that does not exist. The Constitution envisages that for somebody to be removed as deputy president, it takes about 74 days. In less than 20 days, you are saying there is a constitutional crisis. That crisis is in the mind of the architects, led by the president and his cronies.
That there is need for continuity in office. Perhaps why It is an issue of national interest.
Where is the president likely to go? He wants to go abroad and stay there for good. What is the hurry? We have a president, and if there is absence of president, there is a deputy president, and in the absence of deputy president, there is the Speaker of National Assembly who can take over for 60 days and prepare for elections. So I don't see constitutional crisis unless the absence of IBC. But the same absence of IBC is one of the grounds Gachagua is going to annul or give negatory approach to the issue of nominating Kindiki to the position of deputy president. Because IBC that the president was referring to is the secretariat. It is not IBC as we know. That's why we still got about 7 by-elections which have not been done, because there is no IEBC.
The impression I'm getting from you, sir, is that the rule from the court's ruling, it wasn't really much about defending public interest, rather defending personal political interest. Is that the case from your end?
The way I see is that this thing was done with some kind of precision. It is like there was some certain timelines that they wanted to meet within the show, and it was that by December they did not want to celebrate Christmas when there is no deputy president of their choice. I don't know whether the president wants to run away in January because of the situation not being tenable. So these are some of the things we are wondering. And the style with which they did, they are breaking so many laws and creating unnecessary precedents that in future IBC does not matter. We can make decisions without recourse to IBC. We can make decisions without recourse to the process. We can make decisions without recourse to the Constitution itself and its constitutionalism. And we can break all the laws on the land just because we want to achieve certain narrow political ends. Yep.
And let's do a bit of cost-benefit analysis. You've said Gachagua's impeachment is going to be a costly thing for President William Ruto. But look, Gachagua is exiting office. He might have gained some sort of sympathy vote behind him. But then again, he's walked away from office without that one thing he was fighting for, the kingpin status from Mount Kenya region. So what really has Rigathi Gachagua gained in the fullness of time?
Well, there are many Kenyans who did not know him before he was nominated as a running mate to President Ruto. There are also many Kenyans who did not have time for him, who did not know his courage, the capacity to say no, and also tenacity of his own of his own systems. Now people know another Gachagua that we did not know 2 years ago. This is the person, even those who did not like him before, they admire him today. Perhaps he may not retain much of that, but if he is able to consolidate in a way that he does not waste the goodwill that he has, that goodwill he can galvanize and take it to a certain political arrangement which he will be part of. And that is very dangerous because, as you know, the bloc that he comes from gave the president 47% of all the votes that he garnered. This therefore means the president has 47% shaking, is left with 53% of the votes that he garnered in the last general election. And even the 56% is not sitting pretty. Remember what happened is that when that position was declared, there were 3 constituencies yearning for it: the Mount Kenya block, the Western block, and the Nyanza block. So when it happened that it never went to any of the 2 other blocks, they're asking for more. That yes, you have retained in the Mount Kenya the position of deputy president. How about the rest of us? We want more. I know even Raila wants more. He wants more PSS. He wants more cabinet positions. And they're almost angling that the position that has arisen by elevation of Kindiki should go to an ODM supporter. I don't know, some names have been bandied, but I don't know whether they fit the bill. If I was to advise President Ruto, let Mudavadi retain that position of Minister for Interior. Then give somebody else Minister of Foreign Affairs. Perhaps elevate one of his PSS. or get somebody else even from outside to that position. That's the only way you can have semblance of stability. Otherwise, Western Kenya, as you've known, is a very fragile constituency. You cannot rely on. The other place, Nyanza block, it depends on a number of factors, including whether Raila will win the AU chairmanship position.
That would be a factor.
It's going to be a factor because how will you deal with Raila when he comes back to town? He'll be a monster you don't know how to handle. Should he choose to be in the Gachagua's team, Kalonzo's team, Eugene's team, Martha Karua's team, William Ruto's goose will have been cooked 9 o'clock before midday.
Looking at all these realignments and alignments within government, and more particularly, let's narrow down to Moses Wetangula and Musalia Mudavadi. Now that we have seen the broad-based executive on board, and there is chance that Raila Odinga is going to ask for more from President Ruto just so to steady his ship, what kind of waves do you see coming the way of Moses Wetangula and Musalia Mudavadi?
It depends on how they position themselves. Because I've always told you, Ruto is a man of convenience. He will deal with you when it is convenient. He will dispense with you when he finds you are a baggage. So should somebody arise that is going to fight the two, Moses Wetangula and Musalia Mudavadi, Ruto will forget their middle name. They will not know their middle name. He will just ignore and move on as if they never existed. Would you have known that Rigathi would have been ignored the way Ruto has ignored him and almost going at very high speed to get him out of office? These are some of the things that, whether we like it or not, Rigathi Gachagua used to ease on financial and time in terms of resource to mobilize the constituency that voted for William Ruto. So for him to have been forgotten within 2 years tells you something about William Ruto. Remember, I've told you in this program that William Ruto, if I was of any value today, he will come almost kneeling and begging me to support him. And the moment he realizes the support that I gave him is over, he will vilify me and make me look bad.
Once you outlive your usefulness,
yes,
it's done?
Is it done? He does not have good memories for the past. He has no good memories for good things you do to him. He has good memory for anything bad that you might have done to him. Would you have explained the way he was vilifying Uhuru and calling him a dynasty? And near to Uhuru is the one who introduced him to Mount Kenya block. Who was better? How would you have known that William Ruto would have gotten a vote in Mount Kenya block? A block that had never voted for anybody else since independence. But Uhuru Kenyatta, because they were united by referendum against Hague, introduced him. He said he's a good guy. But Uhuru discovered in half-term that Ruto was not the man he knew earlier. And when he told the Mount Kenya bloc, they never believed him. Today I see those clips being played and almost everybody apologizing to Uhuru. So why should we be conned by somebody that we know he does not have reliable partnership? Many people have been saying President Moi was like this, but President Moi, one, was a man who follows the law.
He did?
He would rather you amend the law than go against the law. Number two, the constitution that he ruled or he served in this country was the old constitution, not the constitution that we have, which is robust and has certain measures of refrains. The same constitution Kibaki used, but Kibaki was able to go within the framework of that constitution and was able to give us a lot of freedom in terms of airwaves and other considerations. So when you are dealing with William Ruto, I tell Kenyans, and at times they think I'm bitter. I'm not bitter. At my age, am I still excited about getting a ministerial position? To be waking up in the morning, just enjoying a flag in front of my car, going to the office, and waiting to be given instructions by junior officers in government? Not me.
You don't want that?
No.
No, thank you for you?
No, for me, it is below me.
It is below you.
It is below me. Yeah. You know, my decorations are EGH. Which other one can I get? There's nothing above EGH except CGH. And I don't think I have time to be the next president. I'm not like Raila, who at the age of 80 still wants to be somebody in society. And he's 12 years older than me. And I'm feeling I'm already of age to give advice, and that's why I come to this studio.
For him, he believes he still has so much to do with regards to improving democracy in this country.
He's not a Democrat himself.
You dare say that?
I'm saying
Your
it.
party leader?
I'm saying it. He's not my party leader. I'm not in his
leader.
party. I'm in Azimio, but we are on our way out.
Really?
We cannot be in Azimio. Azimio is dead as a dodo. And I have no pretense hanging around an old house. It can collapse on you. Yeah.
You don't take pride in the opposition of today?
Well, I take pride in those who are still in the opposition. Raila is in government. You cannot take 5 people to government and you want 10 PSS and you still want the position of Speaker of National Assembly and you say you are in the opposition.
Let's talk a bit about that.
Yeah.
You've said that he's going to ask for more from President Ruto just so to help him steady his ship. But you know in how the President Ruto's style of politics this far, to what extent do you think he's going to allow that banquet to extend to?
Well, he needs the numbers. If there's something that you need to take cognizance of Ruto's thinking, he needs numbers in the National Assembly, he needs the right numbers in the Senate, and that's why he emasculated National Assembly to the extent that the minority became majority. Because at the beginning of time, Azimio members of parliament in the National Assembly were more than members of parliament from the Kenya Kwanza. He was able to take away Jubilee, UDM, and many other parties to his side of the equation because he wanted to use them as a voting machine, which he has achieved. The other day, he brought in Raila because he also wanted to boost the numbers because he knew without ODM, he would not have gotten 282 members of National Assembly voting against Rigathi. So he wanted to use them that way. So he may still give in to Raila's request because he still needs the 80 MPs from ODM because he realizes the Mount Kenya bloc is getting a bit jittery and even his backyard. And I want to appreciate Senator Samson Cherargei for standing out and saying, I'll vote as a Nandi. Yeah. You see, for us, when we believe in something, we vote and we go that way. Cherargei has proven that actually he's a son of a Nandi.
Now you credit him with deeper thinking for the first time on the show?
And the courage to say that. Yeah, it's a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage because I know they are vilifying him all over. But I know he may stand the next election and win even the position of governor.
Who thought you'd say that about Cherargei?
No, but you see, I give credit where it's due. In fact, I forgot to congratulate Kindiki because he's somebody I respect. But he's now tarnishing his name by being taken through a very dirty process.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If a court of law will say, Rigathi, all the 5 grounds that remained, that Rigathi is free of that, the position of Kindiki will look hollow because you took the position. But now the man you took the position from because you thought he was dead is like inheriting a widow only for the husband to reappear.
So particularly for new DP Kithure Kindiki, he has assumed office. And for you, what do you think should be that cardinal rule that should inform his true north henceforth?
When he should realize that William does not like strong people. Even if you have a strong opinion and a clearer mind, look for a way of negotiating that position so that it penetrates his mind. He should also realize that William Ruto is also dealing with people around him who do not have the requisite capacity to give him good advice, but he believes they have a good story. That is where at times I find a lot of contradiction. People saying William is very intelligent, he's very thorough, he's very focused. Then he makes decisions that if this court of law was truly independent, Ruto would have been embarrassed in the High Court. I'm telling you the truth. I'm not a lawyer, but I've been a lawmaker for 20 years, and I know the implication of every law that we passed in Parliament. So the interpretation is very clear. There was no IBC, so Kindiki never qualified. The process of public participation is not clear. It is hollow. So therefore, that one of those grounds must be interrogated in future. The 5 grounds that remained in the Senate are hollow. if you are to pick that template and you place on any of the leaders, including William Ruto himself, he will not pass the test. So narrowing to Rigathi Gachagua and making him the villain using those grounds is almost a mockery of justice. And I hope a court of law will be able to vindicate my position, because I'm talking as a layman, and I want to tell the bench and even the entire judiciary that watch this space. I said 2 years ago that judiciary will be emasculated within 2 years. It has come to pass. Go to TV 47. I told them. And many people are telling me, oh, your analysis is good. But judiciary, no. I said either judiciary will be emasculated or there will be a total variance with the position taken by the executive. It has come to pass. I told people Rigathi and Ruto will not last 5 years. It has come to pass. I told people William Ruto is a dictator. It has come to pass. I told them he has sticky hands for things that don't belong to him, including possession away. It has come to pass.
All right, then you're talking about us having a dictator in town, a president who doesn't believe in the rule of law.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask this, Waziri.
Yeah.
So in the fullness of time, what happens to a country when people do not take really refuge in independent institutions like the judiciary? What awaits us in the fullness of time?
You see, what has happened since independence is that there have been a bit of seesawing among the three arms of government. Executive, as for the longest time, has been almost at the top of the pyramid. During Mzee Kenyatta's time, during Moi's time, at the time of Kibaki, judiciary gained a certain position that they were able to sustain themselves and almost refuse with the position of the government. During Uhuru's time, the same. And during Kibaki's time, almost the legislature became almost dictatorial to the other two arms of government. I was part of that legislature. Now, during Ruto's time, all the three arms of government have been subdued. Remember, in the last 4 days, including yesterday, or is it the day before yesterday? True. In 4 days, there are passed about 8 things that make the government win. Whether it is the issue of health, the issue of 2023 finance bill, about 8 things. Whether it's issues of impeachment of Gachagua, how can you still refer to that judiciary as a judiciary that we can have faith in? I'm telling you. And this one I'm telling Justice Mother Kome. The judiciary that you have has run amok. Has run amok because it's being re-engineered by operatives of the state, the president and his cronies, or what I call cabal of opportunists.
Out to please the masses?
How to please them? To please the you call it kakistocracy. Because this is a bunch of individuals, some elected, some not elected, who believe this country belongs to them. This is leadership by the worst of our society.
Leadership by the worst of our society.
Of our society. This, I'm telling you the truth. How can you tell Deputy Chief Justice to empanel a bench on Saturday? What was the hurry? And you see, they wanted to swear him in on a weekend, not knowing that it's supposed to be a day other than the weekend. That's why today is a public holiday. Done by Mudavadi, who was made acting yesterday. Then he issued the notice. There were about 5 notices issued yesterday.
I'm curious to understand, what's your comment on the speed of the government printer? Do you long for a time when also we could be seeing this speed in processing of policy documents?
You see what's happening is that, government printer was removed from Ministry of Interior.
Sure.
It is now in the office of the president. And my suspicion is no longer in the Elisilasi Avenue. Possibly the machine itself must be the Felix Koskei. So that he says, Ingizai Toi, Ingizai Toi. How would you have said Wetangula at midnight? Was government printer operating at midnight? And then Kingi, almost the same, after midnight, he publishes another one. What kind of communication is that? That is a sign of dictatorship, because you don't allow systems to work. Any person who does not allow systems to work is a dictator. And this is what is happening today.
So the onslaught has been placed at the doorstep of the opposition, at the judiciary. You've mentioned that, the executive, the parliament of today.
Yeah.
Who is going to be next, most likely? The watchdog, the media, the fourth estate? Or
The media is on the line. The media is on the line. And that's why there have been so many abductions, because they don't want an alternative opinion. If you don't see me next week, they could have abducted me.
Free Kipruto Arap Kirwa.
Yeah.
Hashtag.
I don't know what you people will say. You might say good riddance.
So long.
Yeah, he's been around for 6-7 years. He can as well go to the next phase of life.
Tangulia Zayuni.
Yeah, huwezi jua. Kuna mambo mengi hufanyika taoni.
But media could be the next target.
It is the next target.
It is the next target.
Because William Ruto wants to muscle everybody. And he pretends to be a professional in all the fields. And we know his line of training.
Lastly.
Do you know he did his PhD research, or so-called research, in my former constituency, which is your county?
Yeah, sure. And he graduated.
Well, graduation or no graduation, how many degrees have we seen that are fake, including the diploma that Suti claims to have? Did he do coursework? Can we see his transcript for coursework? You know, there are some things we keep quiet, but at times we feel this guy has made us feel bad. I'm ashamed he comes from my community.
You don't take pride in him?
Pride in what? In dictatorship?
A son of the soil leading the nation?
Oh, okay. Well, there are many Kalenjins who are very good. And there are many who don't agree with him today. But he's muscling their opinion. Yeah.
Lastly, sir, we are looking at the need for, or rather, the rearrangements of power dynamics in this country. And you've said there's need for Rigathi Gachagua to strategically position himself to at least be a kingmaker going forth. And for people who are now still in active politics, elective politics like Kalonzo Musyoka and the members of the opposition like you, do you think Kalonzo Musyoka stands a lifetime chance now to, say, get rid of Raila Odinga, form a new outfit, or at least denounce Raila's Odinga tag from his name and just be that opposition figure people can rally behind?
For me, I would rather he goes the soft way. You don't have to denounce Raila. We can do it for him. But he can create a team that operates. Let's not wait for the misfortunes of Kenya Kwanza for us to feel that we are gaining. Let us build our own system and identify the issues that afflict our people. Principal among them, if I was to be in that government, is to remove this levy on housing. Let housing be personal contribution supported by the government.
Voluntary contribution?
Voluntary contribution. Unless the fund that is there, that's why we have National Housing Corporation. This fund, I don't know who is running it. That is one. This issue of health, shisha or whatever you call it, why don't you allow people to make personal contribution? Why are you making it mandatory for somebody who may have better arrangement with health services? Why are you saying somebody who has a job must be punished for having a job? The third issue, why don't we pull all the bursaries and create a working bursary system that will assist every child from rich or poor family to get all the way to university education? If you do that, there is enough money. But you are creating bursary through the MCA, through the MP, through the governor, at the headquarters, and you are creating a model that is not working. Pull the money, manage it well, and you will be able to get to the end of the equation with every child feeling that I'm going to school and at a certain level, I don't need to pay fees. During our time, you would pay fees in primary. Later on, it was abolished. Then you pay fees in secondary. After secondary, when you go to either college or university, you even are given some what we are calling boom. 300 for some people, and 300 was a lot of money then. 1,000 for the university students, and that was a lot of money then. Why don't we create that system? It works in Uganda, it works in Tanzania. Why are we creating? It is because of corruption. And you see, the more roadblocks you place on the road, the more are the chances of pilferage. You allow MCA to steal, you allow the MP to steal, the governor to steal, to be stolen here in Ministry of Education. Higher Education Loans Board, I don't know whether it still exists.
It does.
So when you have so many roadblocks in a system, you are creating opportunities for lack of effective governance structures.
Sure enough.
Those are some of the things that I see. Yeah.
You are a member of DAP party, much as you're not the party leader.
Yeah.
I want to understand, looking at the remnant of the opposition of today, do you have an alternative Kalonzo Musyoka for you as a party?
No, in fact, what I believe in, and this is something that I would want us to model. In the run-up to 2002 elections, on our side, we were calling NAK. We had 3 candidates who were presidential material. The late Mwai Kibaki, the late Wamalwa, and our sister Charity Ngilu. On the other side, they had a battery of leaders who are also presidential material, starting with Raila himself, Saitoti, people like Kalonzo Musyoka, Mzee Mudavadi, and so forth. And what we did was to build a consensus by having a number of meetings among the 3 political entities for Kenya, DP, and NPK of Charity Ngilu. And we bonded for like 2 years. When our brothers and sisters in Kasarani became what Kamodo was saying, Kasarani became Kisirani. They came to us when we had already started a serious formation. And we agreed. We formed a summit where we got 4 from NAK and 4 from LDP that came with Raila. From LDP, it was Raila himself, Kalonzo Musyoka, Mudavadi, and Saitoti. On our side, you know them. Wamalwa Kijana, Mwai Kibaki, Charity Ngilu, and I.
Yours truly.
So the 8 of us now became the summit. And all the other decisions were taken at that level. It is dangerous to identify one presidential candidate at this stage. There are people who believe Kalonzo is a good candidate. There are those who believe Eugene, those who believe Martha Karua, those who believe Matiang'i, those who believe if Rigathi gets the reprieve from a court of law, they will have a constituency that you cannot ignore. So my take is that we need to build that consensus among them. And it will reach a stage where we'll tell them, go to the room, give us one candidate. Go to the room, give us the deputy president. Go to the room, give us a prime cabinet secretary. Go to the room, 3 deputy prime ministers.
Give us House Speaker and all that.
A speaker and all that. And I will angle for one of the lower ones.
So you still want a job?
Not a job. I want a role to play. But not a job from William Ruto. I've told you that. Don't ask me that.
I won't ask again.
Don't ask again.
But you've said there are never permanent political enemies in this country.
But for me, I've lost total faith in believing in William Ruto. And you see, when you lose faith, a belief is subordinate to faith.
All right, sure enough.
Yep.
Before his ouster, that is former DP Rigathi Gachagua, he said while in Mount Kenya tour that a time will come for Mount Kenya to speak. What weight do you think that statement has, and what could be the possible ramifications from that statement?
It is heavy. You see, Mount Kenya, apart from the bloc, that they comprise 26% of the population of Kenya, and the voting capacity, 26%, which means you need 25, and you'll cross the bar. They control slightly above 50% of the GDP of this country. So when you combine the strength of GDP or money, you know, people think of GDP in terms of money, and the strength of the population that comprises 26% of the voting bloc in Kenya, you are dealing with a very lethal force, a momentum that can destroy any political equation. So there are 2 constituencies that I fear in the next election. the Mount Kenya bloc and the GNC vote. If the two will at some stage agree, you don't need any other bloc. If you get the GNC and Mount Kenya bloc,
that would be a little duo.
And you have your own one vote, it will be 50% plus one.
And you are sent to the House on the Hill.
Yes. And you decide now how to bring back democracy. Because democracy has gone to the dogs. In fact, the dogs are better, I think, to the pigs.
Really?
Yeah.
It's now in the pigsty.
Yeah. There's no democracy in Kenya anymore.
Look at how the president is vocal about that issue in the continent in his tours.
Well, he talks about it.
Even at the COMESA summit.
He talks about it, but it's one of his lies. Don't you get the clip that he has been lying to us, even saying Kamarin Show is in West Pokot? We know Kamarin Show is in Iten. How did he take it to West Pokot?
So do you foresee a time when he'll run out of lies in the fullness of time?
That's why I'm worried he may run out of the country. Because you know you can lie. You know at times when you lie knowing that tomorrow you will have another lie that is inconsistent with the lie of yesterday. Mm-hmm. That's why in English they say liars should have good memory. Because if yesterday you told me you don't have a black tie in any shirt, then today you wear it and you come out, hey, Richard, what did you tell me yesterday? So you must have good memory. What did I tell Kirwa? I don't have a black shirt. Buy me one. So then you'd come with something white. Liars should have good memory.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. How about we now cross over to this insightful segment? That is Heroes Corner with Honorable Kipruto Arab Kirwa. Today, who is our Shuja during this historic time in our country?
We go back to the same mountain.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Mount Kenya block. You know, you have so many Shujas. Mm-hmm. There is one from Meru. Mm-hmm. There is one from Nyeri. And that's Dedan Kimathi.
Oh.
Wa.
Dedan Kimathi wa Washuri?
Yes. Born 1920.
Sure.
And he did a lot of work in the struggle. Mm-hmm. He was actually a field marshal at the time he was executed in 1957.
37 years only.
He was only a young boy. He was almost, I now call him a young boy because he was 30 years younger than I am. So if you executed me today, I've lived 30 years more than Kimathi. You might make me a hero without your knowledge.
So for 37 years, Kimathi was out there.
Yes, and you realize a lot of revolution is done by people between the age of 25 and 30-something.
The Sankaras of this
Yes, Sankaras of this world, even somebody like Fidel Castro. So when the GNCs get to the street, those are the revolutionaries because they don't care. You see, when you are young, you have no grandchildren, you have no children, you don't even own property. You have nothing to lose except your life.
So you don't have to wait for Raila to come back from AU?
To do what?
To help us in this fight for democracy and all that?
Raila has done his job. He should actually rest and enjoy the balance of his life.
All right.
Yeah. So Dedan Kimathi is my hero. He did a lot in the struggle. He dared where many people would not have had the courage to do so. And he used the weapons that they manufacture themselves. That's why it is very important for us to realize that what belongs to us is our capacity to say no. And the weapons they were using, the tactics they were using, the Mzungu found it very hard. And of course, a lot of stamina and courage. Courage to the extent that even when, and we've been given a lot of harrowing experiences, even when somebody was shot and is about to die, his intestines are out, he can still pick a panga and spear somebody. That is something that it is only that because we did not want to remind Kenyans of the past because we believed the British was going to salvage us, that we downplayed some of the events that took place in the struggle for independence and almost made it illegal for anybody to talk about Mau Mau because the British had told the rest of the country, never deal with the Kikuyu because he's a Mau Mau. So to be called a Mau Mau in the 60s you almost got scared because it was anathema. It was like being called a Mungiki. Not knowing that Mungiki, they were fighting also for their space. So I just wish the people of this country very well and prepare for the next election.
Prepare for the next
If
election.
there is something that you will do for me, is to send William home.
You only want that?
Whoever will be elected. I am happy there is a comedian who says if there's an election between William and Mende, Mende will win.
Mende will be crowned the king?
Yes.
Mende the sixth?
Mende the sixth. That's how life is.
Let's circle back to Kimathi Wawashuri. At the time, before the death of her spouse, Mukami Kimathi, her last wish was just to be shown the grave of her husband, something the government was not able to do. Is it too much from a government, from say, a spouse of such a hero?
I do not know whether the government did not know or the government did not want to show. You remember even the widow of Musa Mwariama has been asking, she's I think 87, she's been asking, why don't you show me the remains of my husband so that I just give him a decent burial.
Closure.
Yeah, to the issue. And you know, it's something psychologically heavy to families. But we take it for granted that those are older people, they don't matter. So it is something that we should be doing. And as a government, we need even to document some of this information through the lenses of an African. The stories we have about Musa Mwariama, the stories we have about Koitalel Samoe, the stories we have about Dedan Kimathi are stories done by the Mzungu. And therefore, we've not been able to do our own research. And that's why I will be requesting Professor
Macharia
Munene to assist us by documenting some of this information through the perspective of an African eye.
At least you can do for Koitalel.
I can do for Koitalel, but you see, my capacity is limited. Yes, I would need a historian. You know, a professor is heavy in terms of history. And at times he narrates those stories as if he was there every day. He says it as if he was part of the event, with details that many of us don't have.
Or at least you can consult descendant of Koitalel, President William Ruto. You
know, Ruto is not related to the Koitalel Samoe.
Really?
I don't know why people confuse that. The steer that belonged to Ruto's father, no grandfather, because the father was Cheruiyot Arap Samoe. Cheruiyot Arap Samoe is the grandfather of, is the father of Ruto's father. Yeah, I don't know whether it's the grandfather, is the father of Ruto's father. So the steer was like the one of Koitalel Samoe. But it has nothing to do with the family of Koitalel Samoe. But he has been using it conveniently to assume that he has the status of Orgoyot. No, he's not.
Stealing someone's cell?
He's a commoner. He's a commoner. At least my grandfather was one of the disciples of Koitalel Samoe, my own grandfather.
All right, there you have it. That point takes us the wrap of today's segment. That is Heroes Corner with Kipto Arap Kiro. We've been celebrating the hero, that is Kimathi Wawashuri. Oh, you all know him as Dedan Kimathi. Thank you so much for the sacrifice you and many others made for the independence of this country and many other things that you fought for. We do subscribe to what you subscribed to then. Until we meet again, do enjoy the rest of your viewing. Kipto Arap Kiro.
Wonderful.
Thank you for slating time.
Thank you so much. Despite the home, I think the thing has been very good. It is good that people know